Hey guys, Patrick here again. Wanted to do a video evaluating Craig Wright and Michael Saylor quickly, as quick as I can. I'm going through interviews that are conducted by Ryan X. Charles and David Wright, Craig Wright. Why do I keep saying David Wright? Craig Wright. And I did about 34 hours with Michael Saylor. Listening to Michael Saylor, very pleasant. He's very personable, and you start to gravitate towards being a maximalist. A maximalist is someone that believes that Bitcoin is going to basically keep going up in price, and is deflationary, is going to keep growing and growing and growing, sort of in perpetuity. And Craig Wright is more of almost a minimalist in many areas, but I don't know whether I should say that. He admits, let's talk about Craig Wright. I'm about 33 hours in on Craig Wright. And so I've spent about the same amount of time, both with Michael Saylor and with Craig Wright. So I want to try and give an evaluation based on the amount of time that I spent with each person, listening to their viewpoints. Now, Satoshi Nakamoto, Craig Wright, the creator of Bitcoin, who some people still, aren't sure that he is, but what have you? That's his claim to fame. He admits himself. He describes himself as a pedantic prick and a curmudgeon, and so I don't want to say anything harsh more than what he's admitted to himself. So he has admitted that he's essentially very difficult to listen to. I mean, he's very, very academic, well, as he describes it, pedantic, and he's talking at a level that's very difficult to catch anything that a layperson would be able to understand, like myself, because I'm not a programmer, I'm not a mathematician, that a lot of what he's talking about in these interviews go over my head. But every once in a while, he'll mention something where he is, that is where he's actually talking about Bitcoin in terms that you can understand. And so those jump out at you, right? And he'll say things like, there's no such thing as being your own bank in Bitcoin. And then he'll try and explain why he said that. Or he'll say, no, it won't. It won't keep going up forever. And he'll say why he says that. I mean, he's very, as I said, he's very British. He's very academic. I mean, he's able to, somebody is British when they can pronounce the word law with two syllables. He'll say the law, and he's very. I hate to say pompous, but I mean, you know what I mean. He's very smug, to put it in a very polite way. He's a very smug person, and he basically said, no, you're wrong. No, it will not. And he's very, no wonder that a lot of people he's not the favorite person of a lot of people. So, but obviously, as the guy who is accredited with, with a recent lawsuit that he went through and the things that he's gone through recently, it's obviously worth listening to because he is such a critical person in the Bitcoin space. So I want to get both sides of the story. Michael Saylor obviously is motivated to say that Bitcoin is going to go up forever. It's going to displace gold. It's going to be deflationary, keep expanding and so on, because he's motivated to say that he's heavily invested in it through his company, MicroStrategy, and personally and what have you. So you have to understand that you got to take both sides. You got to take this and you got to take that and say, okay, how is it going to work out? Now, the interviews that I'm listening to by Craig Wright are, a year old or so. And so I'd like to see something from him that is much more current. We are in late 2021 now, moving into 2022. And so, he's obviously a very similar to Michael Saylor. They're both polymaths. They're both multidisciplinary. They're both hyper educated. Michael Saylor with double degrees from MIT, and Craig Wright with a plethora of degrees from all over the place. I mean, he's just adds them like candy. So both of them are extremely, extremely beyond the level of education of your average person. It's interesting to note that both of them have overtones of conservatism. Both of them have overtones of fundamental Christian principles at their core. Both of them have are very anti-woke, if it's safe to say that, right? And very fundamental, very they don't cater to the what would you call it? The falseness of the fake, the fake woke culture that we're currently involved in today. They cut through a lot of that. They cut through hypocrisy. They cut through a lot of BS because they have such a well-developed concept of history, and they've studied to such an extent that they can see through BS from a mile away. So that's valuable to listen to just for those benefits alone. But as far as getting down to the brass tacks of Bitcoin and where it is going in the future, even Craig Wright himself admits he's not 100% sure. He figures that the price is going to go up and gradually stabilize and may even collapse because he compares it to populations of foxes and rabbits, and he throws out a snippet every once in a while of his opinion on Bitcoin, whereas most of the time he's simply talking about technical terms and technical concepts that are beyond the reach of the average everyday citizen that is wondering whether he should throw some money into Bitcoin as an investment. So he's speaking at a very high level. It's very difficult to get through, but it's worthwhile. If I can summarize it here for you so that you don't have to spend 33, 34 hours listening to this guy drone on and on and on. I mean, I got to admit, it's very boring compared to Michael Saylor. Is very entertaining and pleasant to listen to because he knows how to present ideas in a way that are very captivating and entertaining. It's a very subtle thing, right? And so Craig Wright has reasons why, because he's got like some kind of autistic Asperger / difficulties in communicating in a way that's pleasant. So you can't hold that against the guy because he's obviously in his own realm. He's in his own world, and he's comfortable in books, and he's comfortable in academia. And for him to socially interact with people, he would come across as being abrasive and perhaps unfeeling and unsympathetic. And so what have I learned so far about it? Well, I've learned that it's open to debate, right? You've got two very extreme viewpoints, and it's still very hard to nail down what Craig Wright is predicting for the future of Bitcoin. And this is why I'd like to hear something more about him that is very more current, especially something that's current after his recent legal situation. So I'm still going to continue studying. If I find any nuggets that come out of the interviews that I'm listening to, then I will post them here. In my last video, I found a little snippet that I thought was valuable for you. If I find any additional snippets like that, I will try and save them and share them with you. So in the meantime, that's as far as I've gotten for now. Thank you so much for watching. If you're interested in Bitcoin and you're in Canada or you're around the world, drop a comment, let me know what you think about it. And I'd love to hear your opinion on it. Are you a maximalist? Do you think that Bitcoin is going to keep growing and growing and growing and displace other commodities or financial instruments? Or are you a minimalist and think that it's a Ponzi and it's going to go to zero? I'd love to hear your opinion on it. And thank you again for watching. Please like and subscribe, and we'll talk to you soon. Take care now. Bye-bye.